So what we're going to discuss today is how we're using AI in our business. How are you using it? Number one, as a manager, but number two, as a financial planner.
From a financial planning point of view, I mean, it's a complete different ball game.
Like, wow, this is bonkers. Like, this is going to change the way that we work.
The first thing a friend of me told him, ask it to roast me.
Yeah.
So that was quite an interesting one, and it really tore me to pieces.
Do they really care about my personal information? Does it really matter that much to them? You know, maybe that's really ignorant of me, but
Do you think it will replace financial planners?
So welcome back again to another session with myself and Jake on Don't Shoot the Messenger. And today we're going to cover, again, a very topical topic, something that we're all exposed to. It's driving all of the markets in our areas. It's driving clients' decisions. It's driving investment decisions. And it's pretty much over the news, I would say. When Bloomberg that I watch is probably on there about 10 times a day. You know, the top 7 companies in the world are all invested in it. And of course, it's AI. So what we're going to discuss today is how we're using AI in our business. Discussing whether AI will replace financial planners, and also some of, the privacy concerns with AI and using it for clients and, getting that in. But I think, a nice place to kind of start is how we're using it in our business at the moment. And some of the productivity hacks that we've seen with it in financial planning. I'd be really keen as well to hear about other people, if they're listening and they've got other other tools that they're using or ways that they're using it, because I think it's going at such a rapid rate at the moment that it's very difficult to be on top of everything and what's happening. So let's start off there. So how are you using it? Number one, as a manager, but number two, as a financial planner.
Okay, so as a manager, AI for me has been an absolute game changer. So as you know, I think you probably heard this on a previous podcast as well. I used to live in Abu Dhabi, and I was driving up and down from Abu Dhabi to Dubai. So when I started to adopt AI, and I think it was you that pushed me to start using it, and it had that feature where you can speak to it. So I'd be driving to work in the morning from Abu Dhabi, speaking to AI on a Monday, putting my week together. So I'd talk to it and say, right, this week I need to do this, format it, and, put it all into order for me. But like training sessions, if I've got a training session, I can literally talk for 30 minutes on the way to work, tell it what I wanted the training session on. It then read back to me what it created from a slide point of view. I got to the office, put it into a slide deck, and then start working. And then other ways I use it is typing for me. I mean, it's fine, but I'm formatting and all that sort of stuff's a bit of a pain in the neck. So I will voice note it, so you can dictate to it. So I'll say, right, today I want to put together a document about, a training program for 15 weeks, talk it all through, and it'll knock it into a document for me in 10 minutes. That was something that would have took me, as you know, I'm not the fastest typer, probably about an hour and a half before. So it's just using it for, one, making you quicker, two, you then can reason with it. So I can then go back and say, well, actually, I feel like this part of the training session I've done is pretty weak. Can you give me some ideas to help me to make it better? There's always a danger that you start to turn into an AI, and it sounds a bit too much like an AI, so you've got to be careful how you use it. But that's how I use it from a management point of view. From a financial planning point of view, I mean, it's a complete different ball game. I mean, we now sit on meetings. During those meetings, you can have note takers, and there's different tools out there. They'll sit there, they'll summarize the meeting, they'll give you action points from the meeting. I've actually found recently that just by recording the Teams meeting, though, and actually just taking the transcript, I can do that anyway. So it's just using it to make you more efficient and to cut out a lot of the noise, I think, is what it's quite good. And also to make you consistent. So when I'm writing meeting notes now, I use the same format. So every time I write those meeting notes and I give them to my team, they can go through the format and they know exactly where it's going to be, rather than it being, because I can get a bit excited and I can write it all over the place. So it's just that format that you have to it as well, which is really good. I mean, it's definitely going to evolve, but you just got to keep using it and making yourself better.
100%. You need to, it's something that it's like repetition, is it? It's like anything. The more reps you do something, the better you get with it. And the more learning and development that you do around it, the better you're going to get it. You're not going to use ChatGPT, Google's one, I forget what it is, I mean, there's so many out there now, Apple's, Meta's, whatever it is that you use, and you're going to be an expert on it immediately.
Which one do you use the most? ChatGPT, yeah. The main one, yeah.
Yeah, I use ChatGPT more. And interestingly enough, I don't actually explore a lot of the others either. Like, I'm pretty boring. Like, with food I eat and everything, like, it's like the same stuff at the same times and everything like that. So actually, for me to break, it's quite different. But I remember when someone showed me it the very first time, and I was like, holy shit, like, wow, this is bonkers. Like, this is going to change the way that we work. And Duncan had just come over. So this was, I want to say must have been like 2023. And I was like, mate, you've got to check this out. Like, and we spent all day playing on it. And then my interest kind of waned with it a little bit. And then I kind of got born back into it. It's like, you should be definitely using it more. But now I use it's so ingrained into my daily life that I can't imagine operating anywhere near as effectively and as efficiently without it. I use it same as you, dictating. I don't like writing emails. I think it's boring, and I think it takes up a lot of time. I don't mind editing them. So give me something, I'll edit it, make it, put my own twang on it. But actually writing the email is laborious, and it's much quicker to say it. I use it for making plans. I use it to help me get content. I use it for a lot of research. So asking it specific questions, then drilling down into it more as well. But as I think you were saying before, you've got to be careful with the research, and you've got to make sure that you check it, haven't you?
Yeah, as you know, I went to Italy last week. I do like to arrange, as you know, I like to arrange nights out and a bit of fun. So we were near to Siena, and I used ChatGPT to plan a night out, like a bar crawl for me and all my cousins who are all younger. So we left the older part of the group, and we went on this bar crawl. And the first 3 bars we went to didn't even exist. So there was only 2 bars left, and everyone's looking at me going, yeah, not much going on here. And I was like, yeah, probably should have fact checked this a little bit. So you do have to check it. It's quite important. But I that's a problem for me now, is I've started using ChatGPT more than Google. Now, it's not a problem, because actually if you know how to use it right and you go in and you click on the links and stuff, I would use it over Google now, which is crazy from a personal point of view, but also from a business point of view, because got to be so aware of that.
100%. Privacy is a real concern, as we've said before. Like, and naturally you're feeding it lots of information, because you need to feed it the information to be able to give you the answers that you want. You have to be quite careful with the information that you're feeding it. Especially client-sensitive information in things that we do for financial planners. I definitely do not advise our planners that work with us to put lots of sensitive client information in there and to use it. But with the advisors that we have in the business, I know everyone is using it. So, you don't want to discourage it. And I think as well that can like that whole kind of paralysis around it, like, should I be doing this or should I be doing that, actually kind of defeats the purpose. I mean, in my view, OpenAI, that obviously owns ChatGPT, which I think is obviously heavily invested from Microsoft. Like, do they really care about my personal information? Does it really matter that much to them? Maybe that's really ignorant of me, but I also, obviously client data, GDPR, all the rest of the standards that we have to abide through globally are obviously adhered to, and we're strict with them. But then also, like I said, on a personal front, I look at it and I go, why is my life so interesting that I'm concerned about putting the data into it?
Well, I've tried that. So I tried, because I had concerns about it a while ago. So I started asking it to tell me about Hoxton Wealth.
Yeah.
And then it was telling me all the stuff that I'd like put in there about, when I was trying to write a LinkedIn post or whatever I was getting stuff help with. And I said, no, I want you to tell me stuff that you know about Hoxton Wealth that's not on the internet from other people using ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And it said, I can't give you that information. So that's a good step, I guess, in the right direction. What is quite incredible with it, though, is how much it does know about you. So there's 2 things I've done with it. The first thing, a friend of me told it, ask it to roast me.
Yeah.
So that was quite an interesting one, and it really tore me to pieces. So that was the thing. The second thing I did was ask it to write a persona of me as if a friend had written it about me.
Okay.
Or my wife had written it about me. So it's explain who I am based on what my wife would say.
See what George would say.
Yeah, and it was actually pretty accurate, because obviously you use it for so much. I mean, I use it for families. I use it to plan family holidays. I use it to plan flights. I use it for bloody everything. So, and it had me down to a T. So it does show that how intelligent it is and how it can reason and all that sort of stuff. I mean, you talked about the research part. I mean, if you use the further research,
I've had to play around with it, but I'm just like, I want to know the answer.
Yeah.
And maybe you're going to educate me and tell me something.
The further research one, you can set it off and leave it. So I could say, look into, I don't know, this investment fund, or look into what's going on with this company. And you set it, and it runs in the background, and then it keeps researching, and then it like digests its information and consolidates it. And what you can get out the other end is unbelievable. And you can really it's what's different for me than Google is Google, you get what you get, and that's it. Whereas this, you can explore deeper into one part. And that's when I really think you can get the benefit out of it, you know.
It's so powerful. It's like having, I remember someone described it to me once, it's like having a intern or an assistant in your pocket that has been to all the top universities, Harvard, Yale, all the rest of the stuff, and you need to utilize it as if you would use it as like an assistant. You ask it questions, you ask it to do things for you, but you need to check.
Yeah, 100%.
Because it's not right. But so ChatGPT is one of them. Are there any financial planning tools that you use? Obviously, Saturn AI we use in the business. Any others that you use at the moment?
The main one that we've probably been using is Saturn. Yeah. So we integrated that into the UK business more than the international business, and that was more so because it was built by UK financial planners.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable. You come off a meeting, and again, it's the prompts. I mean, it's just what they've done is built a really good set of prompts that work really well. But the way that me and you could have this conversation now, I mean, obviously it would be a financial conversation. It categorizes it, it puts in the vulnerabilities, it puts in suggested advice at the bottom. Mm-hmm. You give that then to the power planning team that have access to it. They've pretty much got the whole report there ready to write. They've got everything they need to write the report. Because, and we talked about this all the time, you know, we used to drive around a city in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, and we'd knock out 6-7 meetings in a day. You'd be knackered, and you used to come out and maybe do a voice note of the meeting. And you can get a few minutes into the voice note, but there's so much that you'll have missed and you'll forget.
100%.
Now you've got absolutely everything. And, you know, I've sat on meetings with clients where I brought Saturn in, and they're like, what's that? And I explain it to them, and they say, oh, you know, I say, well, listen, this is going to allow me to focus 100% on you and not sit there typing away the whole time taking notes, because that's what I used to have to do to make sure I remembered everything. And once you explain that to them, you share the dialect with them after, they think, oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And, you know, you can look back through each meeting and you can really, you know, you remember everything that's been spoken about. So Saturn's been the main one that I've definitely used so far. There's loads of other ones out there that we've trialed and stuff, but so far that's been the one that's thing. But again, I've been trialing it now with prompts myself, like you've been doing, and, you know, taking the transcript and putting that into a prompt rather than using a tool, because then we've got a bit more control of it and stuff like that. So
it's interesting, isn't it, with control, like where that takes you. Like, I'm very conscious of that, like about having open AI and stuff like that. It's whatever, like it's so big, but actually, I believe, and you know, people might laugh, but I do believe that a lot of these businesses that we feed information into, you do have to be careful if they are in competing fields. Like we're financial planning, we're a financial planning business. We need to be careful about who we're training up, because they're learning that every call that they record, they get more data on your process, how you do things, what you said and where. And for me, who is developing with obviously Mansell and you know, the obviously like yourself and the other people within the business, developing out our internal technology, I'm not genuinely concerned about giving too much to someone else, because I don't want them to know how we're doing things. I want that almost to be RIP, and I want to you know, I want to protect that. I also feel that it's, you know, like this stuff is really costly as well. So AI is super costly, especially if you're developing it. If you're using it, a ChatGPT description is what, 20 quid, 30 quid? I don't know how much OpenAI is, but probably 100 quid a month. I mean, like, it's like relatively, it's, you know, still a couple $100 quid. You could be in it for subscriptions. Relatively. If you're developing it, the amount you have to pay for the developers, the amount of power and usage that you use as you're trying to build out these LLMs or you're trying to navigate it, it's seriously costly. So as a business, you either have to be all in on it or not, and you have to make that decision, I think, fairly soon. Like, because if you aren't training it and you aren't building your own stuff, you might as well start using someone else's and just be bound by that fact.
Yeah, but you've been instilling in us for a while now, and the amount of times that I have the same conversation with people, because obviously, I work with 60 advisors all over the globe, and someone will come to me about a product or a question or whatever else. So now what we started doing is recording those conversations and putting them into a document. That then will be loaded into our own AI, which we're building.
Yes.
And I mean, this comes back to the people, I wonder if it's going to replace you. The idea, I could say that, well, I'm giving it all of the answers to the questions, it's going to replace me. No, it's not. It's going to be allow me to do more good stuff than having the same conversations. I want to get to a point where people can go onto our AI and go, what is the charging structure for this product? Where is this available? Rather than having to come to me and ask the questions. Because as we scale as a business, we've got offices all over the world, and if you're sat in Mexico or you're sat in Australia and, the answer to that question is coming from someone that's on a 12-hour time difference, it's tough. You can't scale. There's no speed. So having that internally is going to be massive as well. But again, that, as you said, it's cost, the time it takes. You spent a lot of time developing the technology and learned a lot about it, and obviously you're very passionate about it. Do you think it will replace financial planners?
I don't think it will initially. I think it will eventually. I think it will replace a lot of... I'll kind of caveat that. I think what it will replace very quickly is administrators and power planners.
Yep.
I think that is a concern for future advisors, because actually a lot of power planners and admin you bring people in at junior levels and progress them through to advisors. So if you get rid of all your admin and your power planners, then you're not going to have a lot of advisors very quickly. It's very difficult to start them off. So I am concerned a little bit about that, because I know how much they, how much they do and how much it can do and how much it can replace. Like, I can write a suitability letter for you if we'll take it now. It's not too far off. Obviously, it needs to be checked by an advisor. What you can't replace, though, is this.
Yep.
You cannot replace with AI whether you have that face-to-face interaction. You can't replace face-to-face contact. You cannot replace the relationships that you build with someone with an AI robot. But then I say that, and key decisions, I want to talk to someone, and I want to talk to someone quickly. But I'm finding even more of my interactions now I do over WhatsApp.
Mm-hmm.
Like the other day, I was buying insurance for my car, and I did the whole thing over WhatsApp. The finance for my wife's car, I did the whole thing over WhatsApp. I didn't talk to the guy at all. He sent the documents to her. She printed them off, signed them. We got them back. There was not one telephone conversation. There was not one relationship. I used him before, so I was confident in him, but I didn't want to. And that was for a big purchase. And I was so happy at the end of it. It was a great customer experience. It was super easy. But I was talking backwards and forwards with him. And then it kind of got me thinking about our role and, actually. But then that's the reason why, as an advisor, you want to be an advisor. You don't want it to be transactional. If it's transactional, I feel that it could be killed off if you're only doing one thing for one person. But if you're helping them across everything, then I think it's more open. What do you think?
I think what you said there is, if I was going to buy insurance, like car insurance or home insurance or life insurance, I don't really need an advisor as much. I could probably work out what insurance cover I need based off ChatGPT. I could ask it questions, give it my income, my expenditure. But what it won't do is it won't help me make those emotional decisions. So at the moment, it might do in the future. What I think is you can't ignore it. If you ignore it, then it will start to replace you. And it won't replace you as a person, but it will replace your ability to be able to do business as well as other people. What you need to do is use it to enable you. And I actually think you'll still have a power planner, you'll still have an admin. You'll just be able to do so much more with them. So I think actually it'll be able to make things cheaper. So it'll be able to make servicing cheaper.
Yeah.
I think it'll be able to make things faster, which is what we said before, and it'll allow us to do more of it. I mean, there's only so many meetings that I can have with clients, but all of the preparation and all the back end work could be a lot faster, which means we can upgrade the service. So I think I'd like to think that it's never going to replace me, but I'd like to think that if it was, I would evolve and get better and find a way to make it work well for me. I mean, I suppose there are roles in the world that probably are a bit scared of it. You know, if you're a copywriter or things, it can be a lot more challenging because it does knock things out. But then we talk about checking. You know, I've sent you things before and you go, can you send it back and not sound like ChatGPT? Do you know what I mean? So you do get into a point where you let it go a little bit too far. So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting as well, like clients' perception of it too. Because I now know if someone has sent me an email or a document and they've used GPT to write it, or I know a LinkedIn post, or I know something almost like it. And even though I'm a massive advocate for it, I don't know whether I pay it at the same amount of attention. I don't know whether I look at it and go, you know, like, there's almost like a snobbery around it. But then that could actually be like, that could actually be the reverse of it, like where people actually go, well, yeah, I do like it, but actually I much prefer dealing with an individual as well and a human. And that actually almost has like a renaissance because, you know, like much like electric, if we all go all electric cars, like having a petrol car, a V12 petrol car would be like, whoa, you know, like that all of a sudden becomes cool, whereas obviously all cars are petrol now. So it'd be interesting to see what happens with that.
We talked about this the other day. My wife and I were talking about it as well, and my children, right? So my kids, she's like, should we be teaching the kids AI? I mean, we drive around in the car, me and Spencer, when I had to take him to school a couple of days a week, and we'll put it on and we talk to it, right? And I like to hear him talking to it because he can explore further, and he can ask a question about a country, or we went to Rome last week and he was asking it questions about the Colosseum. And when it comes back with the answers, because someone's speaking to him, he can ask it questions back, and it really allows him to explore. But then is he losing that ability to be able to find things himself? So, you know, it's getting that balanced thing. It's like you're saying about technology. You know, we talk about, imagine getting a handwritten letter. You know, will it go full circle where that'll actually be a better thing to get than an email?
Definitely pay attention to.
Yeah, exactly.
You definitely pay more attention now to something that's handwritten and something that's put in front of you and that's personalised than you do if you get an email.
Yeah.
Like imagine the amount of emails you've been now. In Dubai, there is no post, like there is no letterbox on the house. So if you do get a letter, you will definitely open it.
Yeah, 100%. Do you let how about your kids? Are they using AI? Do you let them use AI? How does that work?
I encourage them to, for sure. I mean, we use it in the car, same as you speak to it, and Dylan finds it hilarious that it talks back. I've got some like northern accent that.
Of course you have. Yeah. I've got a southerner.
Yeah, that's funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
I find the northern accent quite soothing. But yeah, it's definitely going to change the way that they interact and that they deal with things and that they're able to get information. You're right, though. I do have concerns about it making people lazy, but then also it's developing in the questioning and how you're asking the questions. The key that I have learned and that I'm trying to teach them is the prompts.
Yeah.
Like at the moment, it's all historical. It's not going forward, and it can't go forward. Mm-hmm. You know, it can only the information it is based on is historical. Yeah, so you need to be able to ask it questions in the right way to get the right answer and to get the best answer, and therefore you need to understand how to prompt it. Like, write me an email. Okay, well, write me an email in my tone of voice, not using em dashes, writing full words instead of using you'd and I'd and all the rest of the stuff, based on this dictation. But keeping it business professional will give you a much better response out of it than, write me an email based on this.
Have you made your own GPTs?
Yes.
Yeah. So have you made like an email GPT and then given it that prompt so you keep feeding it? Yeah. I've done the same for like training guides and docs and stuff, because it gets quite frustrating when you keep going back, starting again and then restarting it. I'll get it to prompt. So I've gone in now and created all my own ones, and I did it I've fallen off a bit with a LinkedIn post, I think, because everybody's doing them now. But what I did for LinkedIn, I said, ask So I prompted it to ask me everything it needed to know about me in order to create a LinkedIn thing to help me with my LinkedIn posts. And then it asked me like 100 questions, and then it picked up my tone, and then I said, use the tone of those answers. And then it really did start to sound like me. It's quite incredible what you can do with those things.
Have you had any emails from or anything from anyone with, with where you've blatantly known that they've used GPT?
Yeah, I had,
or AI.
I had an email not long ago from a client, and I'd sent through a presentation proposal for what we were going to do advice-wise. And I mean, this email was probably the most in-depth email I'd ever had about questions. And as soon as I read it, I was like, I've known this client a while. I was like, I'm pretty sure this has come from AI. So I just got on, I said, let's have a call, jumped on a call, went through it. And it was things like, where are the funds, who are the custodians of the mutual fund that we're investing in, and all of these sorts of things. And, what is the underlying asset allocation of that mutual fund? And I was like, this isn't the thing. So I jumped on a call and went through it and answered all of the questions, and then popped out an email afterwards. And I was pleased that they were using it, but then they didn't even know what the questions were they were asking, which was those things. So it's going to come back and challenge you, I think, and it's how you deal with that challenge. If you then start trying to get nitty gritty and go all the way back into it, you're just going to over confuse both of you. So, but yeah, you can see it. I mean, I've had emails. I had an email recently from a guy not from the UK. It was something to do with my car, and they'd used it to write it, and it was written in the best English I've ever seen, and it was really a Shakespeare elaborate thing all about. I was like, well, that's obviously from ChatGPT as well. So yeah, it is quite interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's like, I wonder if we'll get over that snobbery, and whether it will just become like the overall just what everyone uses.
We're turning into those people that have been using it a bit longer now and going, don't know how they're using it properly, aren't we? That's what's happening.
But amateurs.
But I think, we've done sessions on it. I've done sessions with the planners on how I'm using it, what it's doing for me, and all that sort of stuff. I genuinely believe we'll get to a point where you'll have your own GPT, and whether it's client meetings, whether it's everything you do on a day-to-day, and you'll come in and you'll speak to it, and it'll have a name, and it'll be like, what have I got to do today? And it'll read my calendar and tell me, and then it'll say, you don't worry about this task, so you don't. And that's where I think it'll get to, if it's used correctly. And if it does, brilliant, because all that's going to do is complement everyone that's using it.
Some of the things that we're working on in the background at the moment are actually really interesting. I'd say we've got a couple of engineers who are very passionate about AI, and they're almost doing it as side projects, so like moonshots, I suppose. So one of the key things that you need to be able to do is obviously feed it in data. Now, again, given the fact that we've built our own, back-end CRM, we've got data back from 2018, and obviously the operations guys are going back now in and adding more, going through any missing gaps. As literally, you add more fields in that weren't there, you need to make sure they're populated and all the rest of this stuff. So it's like how crisp the information is. But they're getting to a point now where they can separate it per advisor or per trading wealth manager, or per paraplanner, or per admin if they're dealing with a pool of advisors. So that you won't be able to ask it questions on my clients, and I won't be able to ask it questions on your clients, because obviously, don't forget, it's a mass data.
Yeah.
So it's about how you structure it. And it's also about how the database is structured, which is supposed to get a bit geeky. But then the next thing is having it being generative. So having it then being able to say, like, you, without having to ask it a question, you go in, reading your calendar and going, Jade, you're speaking to Simon today. These are all the notes from the last session. These are the bits that you said you followed up from. That's the email. And this is, these are the bits that we recommend that you speak with. So it's almost becoming generative in that fact that it's prompting you, because that's it at the moment. Like, at the moment, you have to prompt it.
Yeah.
Whereas you will get to a stage soon where it prompts you to do things that it knows you're doing. I was kind of excited about Copilot as well for a while, and it didn't it never really kind of took off and has got in there. I know they're doing a lot of automation stuff, but that's another area that's really key as well, which is like automation. Like, automation is not necessarily AI, but it has definitely got much better with AI on the, on, let's say, doing a calculation.
Yeah.
Like, so it can automate a calculation based on the data that you've given it, which I think is it's fucking really cool. It's like, we're kind of moving along. I mean, now, so one of the things that we've implemented at the moment and been working heavily on is fund switches.
Yeah.
So to write a fund switch report for a planner, if you're not on like a discretionary model or something like that, it's not the most interesting piece of work for the planner. It's not the most interesting piece of work for the power planner. You have to do it, fairly regularly if you're rebalancing, at least once a year. But should actually be a really simple report. Like, all you need to really know is the reason, and then it should be able to extract that data from your system, write the report with all the charges that it knows, and then spit that out. And that's what we are there with now. The other thing that I'm like kind of thinking about in this, I think is also interesting as well, is the presentation of the information as well. So as planners, we have got into this habit of everything has to be on a PDF, everything has to be digitally signed as if it was a piece of paper. Like, we live in a digital age. Why? Like, why can't I have an email through and say I accept it? Like, why do I actually need to physically, digitally sign a document? Like, why can't I have it presented to me on a web page and I click terms, conditions, accept, and I kind of move on? Like, I feel like that sometimes we make it harder for ourselves.
I think sometimes we get stuck in what we only know, right? So you talked about that when you said earlier, people know other things that we should be using. You get used to doing it the way you do it. And sometimes, and we try and challenge each other on a regular basis as to why we're doing it that way. Can we do it quicker? Like you just said there, does it need to be on those things? I think, we're moving a little bit away from AI, but AI, automation, all of these different things, you've got to be learning about it. You can't just take ChatGPT and go, I'm going to do that. You've got to be researching it. I mean, the thing you're talking about there with the fund switch tool, I think we looked into these power apps, wasn't it, or whatever that started, that Microsoft Power Apps, and then we got a specialist in that knew about it because they knew better than what we did. And that's what I want to start looking at next, maybe, is getting some people in to teach us about AI and how we can use it, because it's all self-taught.
It's the blind leading the blind.
Exactly, yeah.
It's tough, isn't it? It's like, and I think like without that Power Automate bit, the other bit that's really interesting is like when you develop any kind of technology, it's like building a house. It's like you need a specialist in that area, and therefore you only have a certain amount of time and you only have a certain amount of resource. So things like Power Automate, you can experiment and play with things like that to get it to a place where you are happy then to go and develop it. Because otherwise what you do is, and then you get the perfect thing and the flow of the thing right, and everyone's played around on it and you test it and you've broken it out, rather than having a load of dev time that's essentially wasted while you're trying to figure it out. So we've obviously got the databases. We then plug into the databases, which we can extract. We've got APIs that we've developed into that, and it's really interesting to see how you can evolve.
What do you think of there's programs out there now where you can record yourself and then you can literally sit and type a script and it'll speak as you. I mean, I was playing about with one last week. I mean, it sounded nothing like me, and it was very weird because it was saying something that I'd never said, which scares the life out of me, actually. Because, we've had it, you get these emails, that will be the next scam. We've had these emails where people tell you to buy things and do stuff on your emails. I mean, imagine you sent me a video on WhatsApp saying, Jake, I need you to come to my house right now and drop off whatever.
Yeah.
It's not even you. I mean, that scares me.
Deep fakes, like they are a real thing, and they can be easily created. I think a lot of the tools at the moment are very high level. So to actually, don't forget, AI has to learn and you have to train it. You can't learn or train something off a 3 or 4 minute upload. Like, it's never going to be the way that you are. One of the best voice ones is 7 Labs, and I was showing you that before. I uploaded 4 hours of my voice into it, and then I trained it on the speed and on the cadence of how I would say things, that you could play around with it. And it was seriously good. If I send you a voice note, I think I did.
I think you did.
You would not know unless I said that's not me. So I think that, but again, we live in an age of quick. No one wants to wait. No one wants to bother training it for 4 hours to get to where you want to. But I think what it will do is it will speed the amount of information that you can get out there. So we're recording this now, yeah? if we really wanted to do an AI podcast, we could actually have one of our marketing team draft up a whole podcast and a whole chat on AI. We not have to be here. Like, the limiting factor with the amount that we can produce is me and you sat here and me and you cocking up, and then the editing time and all the rest of this stuff. So I think you will naturally start to see a lot of content. But then again, like, I still believe that people will crave that, like, personal unfiltered approach for certain things. Like, I like listening to people. I like understanding who they are, how they operate. I wonder whether soon you will have to notify people whether it is AI or whether it is actually a real person. I think that's got to come at some point, like from a regulatory point of view.
I think they've started to see that on social media now. It says AI. And
does it?
Yeah. So, and my cousin, when we were in Italy last week, he's got those glasses, those Meta glasses. So they're Ray-Bans with Meta built in, right? And he's walking around, he looks at something and he'll say, tell me what I'm looking at. And then it'll look at it and it'll talk, so like a guided tour of Italy. Yeah. Unbelievable. When he takes a video with that, it says it's been taken on when it goes on Instagram, whatever, it says taken by Meta, which I think is important because, as we said before, I mean, if somebody can log into your 7 labs and literally type whatever they want and send it to whoever they think, I mean, that should be notified. Otherwise, you it could be a big scam, you know?
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? I think it's the way that we're going. But also, it's here. I think that's the other thing. And obviously, with financial planning, given the fact that I thought we were old in the UK in terms of how old the average advisor is. It's like 57.
Yeah.
In the US, I was on the phone to someone yesterday, they were telling me it's 62.
In the US?
In the US, the average age of a financial planner is 62. Now, obviously, it's a much bigger country. They've got a lot of advisors, but the average age is 62. Clearly, as a profession, if the average age of the person doing it is that old, they're not going to be as up to speed. I mean, that's very ageist maybe of me, but they're not going to be as up to speed as maybe someone who is younger and who is more, as technology more influencing their decisions. So it's no wonder we are behind, and it's no wonder there is a bit of a resistance as to why people want to use it, but it's here to stay.
Yeah, I mean, one of the young lads I'm obviously very young, but there's some of the younger lads in the office. I mean, one of the lads the other day, he was trying to, because obviously we practice when we're getting our leads through from our marketing team. We have to call them up, and you still have to have a format to what you're going to say to them. You can't just ring up and go, "Hi, you downloaded a guide. Do you want to have a meeting?" You have to know what you're talking about. So we do a lot of like role playing, which is really cringy. And you sit in a room and you go through and stuff. And he was trying to train the AI to role play with it.
Was he?
Yeah. And I was sitting there going like, "That's an unbelievable idea."
Yeah.
Like if you could unbelievable use of AI. Like we could almost build our perfect AI trainer, and then literally go, right, you're talking today about 401k pension assets with someone in the US. These are all the objections and all of the questions and all the things that they want to know about, pitch it. Yeah. And I mean, that's incredible. You'll almost have fake clients to practice on.
It's repetition again, isn't it? It enables you to do so many more reps than just picking up the phone and hoping that so when you do speak to people, but then again, that's a use of it with you, like not against you. Like somebody's go, it could call up the person and do it for you. I mean, it could, but it's probably not there yet. Actually, that's a really good use, which is with the objections. But it's, that's the key, isn't it? It's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. Like the amount of money that is getting pumped in from governments now, as well as these private companies, it's only going to get better over time, and it's only going to be more used. And you've got to embrace it. You can't start to shy away from it. If you're not embracing it, you are missing a serious trick. And I think, like with most things, you'll get left behind.
Yeah, and you don't have to use it for everything, but use it to make yourself better and use it to enhance what you're already doing. If you do that, the thing, and we will continue to train the teams on how to use it, and as we learn it, we'll push it down like we do with everything, because we want our advisors advising, we want our paraplanners paraplanning. We don't want them doing all the nitty-gritty stuff in between that AI can do for you. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Making your life as efficient as possible, isn't it? Yeah, correct. Good. Well, look, thank you very much for joining us today. I hope you found that really useful. Obviously, that's Jake's and my personal views on AI. As I said, I'd be really, really keen to see how you're using it. So, if you've got any thoughts, please drop them in the comments below. And if you like what we say, let us know, because we're keen to keep talking more about this stuff and making sure you find it useful. Please subscribe and like the video, and have a amazing day ahead. Thanks very much for watching.